Shyness the Lightning Kingdom, you play as Shadow, trying to get to the source of the evil Shi, and as you progress through the story, you unlock companions that join you on your adventure. The game took a while for me to like. It's a very awkward feeling game, and from the combat to the platforming, it's stiff. Even by the game's end, I still wasn't in love, but I did ultimately enjoy this game. The worst part of this game is the puzzles. Each character has a unique ability that lets them solve pieces of the puzzles that stop game progression. You never know when will show up, but thankfully, even though you can only have 3 members in your party at a time, you can quickly swap characters in and out of your team when these puzzles do appear if you don't have the right character with you. Thankfully, these puzzles are easy but still a bit annoying. Other than solving puzzles which are few and far between, you'll be going to a point on the map in the various locations you visit trying to avoid or defeat every enemy in your way to level up. The combat system, though, much like the entire game, takes some getting used to, and definitely lacks a bit of polish. You can parry attacks, block them, roll, kick, and punch, use disciplines you unlock from shops, chests, and defeating enemies for in-battle perks, or unlocking magic attacks that use one of the 4 Shi elements. It's easy enough to spam ranged attacks, though some enemies are immune to certain magic and there are a certain amount of Shi you can use before you have to go to a save point and restock. But each battle takes place in a dome that changes color, and your character is able to concentrate to refill needed Shi during battle and get a boost of regeneration if the elements match. And eventually you'll be able to do a hyper move, which pauses the battle and lets you quickly put in the right button combination on screen and pull off a powerful move that usually takes away about half of an enemy's health. The problem though is that it gets a little old watching the scene play out each time. You are able to skip the animation, but I found doing so will sometimes cause the game to not read any damage done to your opponent, but still depletes your hyper meter. So in tough fights, I advise not taking the chance by skipping. And speaking of bugs and unpolished, you are able to switch between any of the characters in your party during battle as well as map commands such as heal with enemy and ally stipulations. But the switching isn't the most responsive system in the world. I found myself mashing the swap button to make sure a character didn't die, and they just wouldn't swap in. And occasionally you'll kind of be forced to swap when your character gets stuck mid-air, which was rare but it did happen a few times. I also ran into a bug after a certain boss about 10 hours into the game that after defeating them my character got stuck behind an invisible wall, which are everywhere, and places that they shouldn't be, so that if it does happen players can hop back into the map instead of being stuck and having to quit the game, reload and fight the boss all over again like I did. And after defeating them the second time my character was standing on air again, but thankfully I could jump forward and stop it from happening again. And speaking of bosses, there are a lot in this game and some definitely feel a bit cheap. For starters, there's a bit of unbalance. They spam and attack swiftly compared to your slowness where it feels like the game is hardly reading your commands. But some of the design itself is cheap. One for example, you have to deflect an attack during the second phase of the battle multiple times. Only problem is, to deflect you have to have hyper build up, meaning if anyone in your party dies during this battle, you're practically out of luck unless you get lucky and have a full meter when the time comes. Bringing luck into the equation outside of a board game is never good. Shyness the Lightning Kingdom is an enjoyable journey. I had fun. I enjoyed swapping the disciplines, learning new combos for my character, swapping the gear in my party, and I love the fact that non-active party members leveled up with the rest of my crew. But